morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers. Welcome to another edition of Mary Sky Readely's video blog. I'm Mary Sky. If you're new to the channel, hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up button. If you're coming back, or welcome. I'm also known as Fleet Admiral Krabby McCoffee. So today we're going to be talking to you all about no SNAP benefits, no food stamp benefits, and no EBT benefits, and what it means for people in the world, alright? Or at least in the United States. So buckle up, it's going to be interesting. Now, a lot of people are saying, why'd the government do this? Well, this is the office computer. I just wrote up a letter, so I'm getting ready to print it out, but I decided to come in here to tell you what I think. And it goes like this. The American people are tired of freeloaders. I mean, literally, when I was a roofer with my stepdad, Roy, we had a lot of roofing companies come in. Half of them were illegal. They'd go in and they'd do a tear-off and re-roof in about 2 days. We would take 6 to 8 days, maybe even 10, depending on the roof, with just 2 of us, sometimes 3. And you know what? It wasn't easy. Yeah. And besides being a roofer and so forth, and a gopher and everything else, we did our job properly. Yeah. So anyways, let me see here. It says choose an account. We're already chosen, right? Let me see here, because I need to double check. Let me mute this because I don't want sound. And we're going to talk about what is going on in the world. Now, my adopted brother Ted messaged me and he's like, you need to do a video. Well, let's just say the reason the United States government has gone down the toilet a bit is basically what's going on is the American people are turning around and they're fed up. They are fed up with not having any food stamps or anything else, and that's bad because they're sitting there and they're like, well, what do we do? Well, this is where I come in and tell you, you need to live within your means. Plain and simple. First rule of thumb. Live within your means. People aren't living within their means. They are not living in their means. They are living outside their means. And then you got me, who turns around and literally turns around. Let's just do this, right? And then can we actually extend this? There we go. We'll hide that. There we go. See? There we go. So in case chat. So basically what's happening, if you're new to the channel, hit the like, subscribe button, thumbs up. Basically, you guys are living within your means. That's it, right? There's a lot of people that say, oh, well, we get free food stamps, we get benefits, we're fine. But it just doesn't affect you, the hungry person. It affects everyone. Grocery stores, $9 billion a month. Grocery stores can't survive. It's socialism to grocery stores. Truckers can't basically make it without the grocery stores placing the orders to have the food delivered so you can buy it with your food stamps. Yeah, Amazon can't make it, Target can't make it, Walmart can't make it, no one can make it. Now, if there's no food stamps, that cuts out the 50% Amazon or Walmart benefits. So what happens if you sign up and then they're like, oh, sorry, we can't do this right now because food stamps are stopped. See what's going on? They can't verify your benefits because your benefits have been stopped. Yeah. And so a lot of people are like, oh, what do we do? You don't live outside your means. Literally. I mean, I knew a guy who literally bought a boat, right? Lived outside his means. He's like, oh, I'm going to go on the stock market and do some short trading. Yeah. Just to afford a boat. And yet, this is not the time to go and invest in a boat. This ain't in time to invest in anything. So, basically, people need to cut corners. Look at me. How do I save money? Well, my brother Ted would make a joke and be like, oh, you gotta stop drinking. I have already stopped drinking. This Friday, it'll be 4 weeks, completely drained, clean, and, the only thing I get is these light headaches. Yeah. Light headaches, but I've stopped drinking. Good for me, right? I'm going to get my 30-day coin soon, as Chloe calls it. Anyways, enough about the 30-day coin, or what a token. Next up is the government turns around and they shut down. And a lot of these people are using credit cards. The government employees are using credit cards. But eventually, if there's no money, their credit cards are going to be useless, and they're going to be really hurting, because right now they're paying everything with credit cards. And so, yeah. And let me just put it this way, okay? The government shut down, right? Now, a lot of people say to me, oh, well, it's okay. My brother Ted would sit there and say, but if the government doesn't reopen, I don't get Social Security disability insurance benefits if I'm approved. Now, he thinks Social Security is working. They're not working. I've talked about most of them are furloughed. The ones that are working is usually a few people that are just maintaining some source of answer phones. I mean, they could try AI, but thing is, look around. You guys are all living without your means. During the Great Depression, my adopted grandmother used to say that they used to make sure that they rationed food. Amazon's rationing food. When does it end? It ends when... I mean, look, I was thinking about it tonight, okay? Now, a lot of you guys, you've messaged me, and you're like, oh, is this true? Is this not true? What's going on? Why is it going on? What are we doing? How are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Truth is, what you're seeing is problems, right? So, for example, a lot of people turn around and they're complaining about everything under the sun. Yeah. So, a lot of people are saying, yeah, and so I'll have to watch this. So basically, basically, a lot of people are turning around and they're saying, well, what can we do? You can first cut corners. And the way you cut corners is by cutting corners. And to do that, you have to give up many things. A lot of people say, oh, you can't cut corners because cutting corners is bad. Well, cutting corners is bad, but cutting corners has to be bad, But thing is, you have to live. I mean, look, even my adopted brother Ted has developed a thing where you don't go to the store unless you have to. You don't fill your car up with gas unless you have to. Think about it. I mean, literally, think about it. My brother Ted, he always makes jokes about me. Oh, Rita, you're printing out a whole tree. Even I have to conserve on paper, which reminds me I was going to do something. But anyways, I was going to do something, but I was like, oh well, right? I could probably do it through Chloe's account, because Chloe's always telling me to do it. But thing is, let me just say, I'll do it on mine tomorrow. But anyways, you guys got to cut corners. Now, there's a lot of people out there, right? I watched this guy who's giving notes, and I made some notes. For one, places like Chipotle are losing money. They used to have people going in 25 to 35. They're losing money. People are eating at home. Why are they eating at home? Because it's cheaper. I mean, look at my sister tonight. She was telling me, how much does it cost you to buy those little chimichangas? Well, last time I checked on Walmart, it was between $12 and $15 for chimichangas. It's like $20 for 18 individual chimichangas at Costco. Now, my brother would be like, oh, that's like $1 something a piece. Yes, but if you break down the meals you're paying for, you could basically break down everything. So if there's 18 chimichangas at $20, you divide that up by $20 by 18 since there's no sales tax, and it's like $1 to $1.10 a chimichanga. Give or take, maybe $1.05. You guys would sit there and say, oh, but maybe $1.06. But anyways, I don't need to talk about the math, okay? Main thing is you have to cut corners. When it comes to eating, cut corners. When it comes to eating, you cut corners. When it comes to drinking, you cut corners. A lot of people will sit there and think, that they'll cut corners. I mean, look at Chloe. Chloe called me and says she'll be bringing me milk and coffee tomorrow. Praise the Lord on that. Why? Because we are completely plug out of coffee. As of tomorrow morning when I wake up, the last pot's going to be brewed. But Chloe will already be on her way, so I have to get some rest in sooner or later. Okay, so the next step is charging the radio. I got to charge it up. Is it over here? Yes. All right, so Chloe's already in bed, so let's plug this here. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, what's the point of having this as a membership plan? Simple. Let me tell you about this. This is a cheap way of communicating without needing a cell bill. It's a cell radio. As long as the radio's on, and Chloe's radio's on, you can communicate just like a pair of radios, like a pair of ham radios, without needing a license. So, but anyways, so let me just tell you, the main problem we have is that I love you guys dearly, is the fact that you have to cut corners. I mean, literally, I'm cutting corners right now. I mean, people say to me, oh, Arita, what have you cut corners on? I've been doing and buying in the bulk to make sure we can survive a lot longer if we have to. And remember, today's purchases and prepping. I mean, in the other room, I got a whole box of this. It's like this big and about yay long. It was filled with light bulbs. As the light bulbs go out, I just screw in new light bulbs, LEDs, the last 18 years. And of course, if I'm moving, I'll take all my light bulbs with me. It doesn't matter. They can go without it. And management companies like, oh, you took the light bulbs. And when you own an apartment and you're paying high priority and high paid for light bulbs, the next tenant can buy the light bulbs, because everywhere I go, I take the light bulbs, because to me, light bulbs cost money. Yes. Of course, some light bulbs are more pain in the butt. I have the chandelier. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe how hard it was to change out those ones with the little single globes here. I got like all the globes except one. One globe broke and they're like, oh, $50. Like, I'm going to pay $50 for a globe. Now, you got to think in your mind about being frugal. Literally, you can't just sit there and be unfrugal, because people say, oh, well, you know, I can live better than you because I have money. Really good for you. And then, you know, you'll get kicked out of the place or whatever, right? Now, a lot of people are like, well, when's the government going to reopen? That's the problem we're all worried about right now. I'll explain why. You see, food stamps is just the dry run, right? You see, what they're trying to do is two things. Two or threefold. A, they're trying to stop Epstein files from release, just leave the government shut down. And now I have my AI open, so I'm going to ask my AI a quick question. So, alright, so the question I have is the open enrollment for the, yeah, okay. Alright, so open enrollment. Alright, so the open enrollment starts on October 15th and ends December 2nd, but they give you a second wave from January 1st, March 31st. Okay, so people are already seeing the premiums going through the roof, okay, and that's not good. They're just like, well, how much are we going to be paying, right? So open enrollment's happening right now, but thing is people are losing 20, 30, 40 million people may lose their health care, right? They claim it was like 17 million that as capable workers. Okay, that's fine, 17 million, but here's the kicker. If all the open enrollment and everything goes up, right? Now, my adopted brother Ted gave me a link to the Senate and the House bills, right? And why the CR has not been passed. It's basically almost identical. But thing is you got to go deeper into it to find out that both Democrats and Republicans, they must be getting paid to keep the government shut down, because apparently they must not. Most of them must hate the American people, because if they did, that's why you're seeing no food stamps. But that's not all. The open enrollment. So let me tell you a story. I've been keeping an eye on years on my stepdad, Roy. I just extended the olive branch. I love him dearly. He's been a father to me for years. I haven't talked to him in like 20. Hopefully he'll forgive me. Anyway, the point is I turned around and anyways, we used to do roofing a long time ago. Loved Dad. He was a real character. Very frugal too. Now, listen to the frugalness that he did. When he was alive, I think his biggest TV was between 13 and 19. It might be this size. Sitting on the shelf in his room. That's all he needed. He lived in a room with bunk beds. Eventually, he got his own room next door. Not my room. And he had his own room and a bigger TV. But thing is he never, quote unquote, he was frugal. I mean, he only bought what was needed, and I think that's how eventually his retirement came about to be very good, because he did very well, and I'm proud of him. I really am. But in this day and age, we're buying so much crap. By the way, the reason I keep this TV here is because it still works. Why throw it out, It's already paid for. So, anyway, same with that one there. But anyway, the American people buy things, and they use things, and then they buy things, and then they don't think about it. And then people sit there and say, well, I need this or I need that, right? So a lot of people buy things that they don't need. For example, I was just telling Chloe, again, I told her about a deal on bar soap. Her answer is, oh, well, we'll get to it soon enough, right? But you can't pass up $12 for 24 bars bar soap. I mean, literally, that'll make you smell clean, right? Well, I got some. Well, Chloe's like, oh, well, So, the bar soap was a great deal, So, for example, yes, we run cinnamon bears. I want some cinnamon bears, but they keep going up in price. You got to look at cinnamon bears, right? So, right here it is $12 for soap, right? But if you add the candy to it, let's just put save for later, right? Okay, save for later. Save for later. Currently, because it's 2. So each one is $4. So $30 gets me approximately another year's worth of supplies of soap, right? So, for example, this is pretty good, right? Right. So, point is it is damn good. Now, Chloe could buy 3. I'm only limited to 2 because they're limiting you to 3. So you get your 3 soaps. So you guys could sit there and say, well, that seems to be a good deal. Right. Now, the point is, the American people don't see these deals. They sit there and they scroll. For example, let me give you an example. Okay, I'll give you 2. So, example 1, you go to Amazon, right? You see soap. You buy it. You're like, okay. Oh, yeah, buy it again. How much is this? So, apparently, my dish soap I buy is... I usually get the 8-pack. I think there's only an 8-pack, right? 8-pack is... Yeah, so 8-pack of soap, right? Anyways, not going to buy soap right now. But anyways, let's just go into my browse it again, right? So you're sitting around looking at things, right? And you're looking for deals, right? Like coffee, I got like 3 packs of coffee coming, right? It's supposed to be your Tuesday. So you look through your purchase history of what you want to buy. Powdered milk, $45. Powdered milk, $44. So it's $88 for powdered milk. You turn over to powdered milk, which I have to have some because I'm out of milk. And I'm hoping Chloe brings me some, but I can drink black coffee if I have to. So, for example, you look at this computer deal and you say, oh, $499.99. What do you get? Oh, you get 32 gigs of RAM. You get a 16-inch screen. You get 2 terabyte SSD. Shipped and sold by Amazon. $4.99, I'm sold. So someone goes, pops it in the shopping cart and buy it. Meanwhile, they're not thinking about, do you really need it? Instead, you just go ahead and buy it, and then you're happy as heck you got a new computer. And then you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself. So, a lot of people are doing that as an example. Like, for example, the old lady that bothers me turned around and she wanted her kids to have birthday or Christmas. So, we did it for her. I ordered, she gave me the cash. I ordered, so I wasn't losing money. And she bought 2 karaoke machines and then a TV for herself. Now she wants a computer. Well, thing is she told me she's an alcoholic. So she said, I'm really worried about my booze supply, but I'm also worried about the future. Because she doesn't want to lose her home. Fortunately, that's not my problem. Okay, my problem is I'm worried about losing my home. And you could sit there and say, but Rita, you're not going to lose your... You can't. You see, the longer the government stays closed, the longer the 12 what is it called? Appropriation bills don't get passed. And that leaves you with homelessness. You got food stamps. Most of the people that I've seen usually are alcoholics and drug users that take advantage of the system and buys, or works 3 jobs and then takes advantage of it. And then you have another one who was like, well, I don't need to worry. I have too much money coming in. Yeah, it's because your daughter's working and working and working. Yeah, okay. Fine, whatever, right? I love them all. That's the truth. But I do like to speak my mind. So, it doesn't matter about them. Then you have them saying, well, we're not going to be evicted, and maybe you. If the government doesn't reopen, okay, my sister Teddy claims that we're not going to see anything until January, okay? January is a breaking point. There's a video I just saw about breaking point. I'd like to see it eventually to make it my own ending. But I also want a game, so, because I've been working on this farming game for like 8 hours, and I just want to rush, okay? So basically, the bottom line, it goes like this. So you have to cut corners. I mean, look at me. I told Chloe $17. Right? Chloe wanted, it cost $6 for 2 doubles at Burger King. Burger King's hurting. I just found out I made a friend at Burger King. The manager said to me, I saw your video because they like you too. And you're spot on. You need to talk about Burger King. The reason Burger King's having 2 for sales is because they can't bring in the business. When I was there early in the morning for the breakfast, there was nothing. I said, how is it at lunchtime? She said, nothing. Now, pay attention here. 2 for $6 for breakfast sandwiches, the croissants or the biscuits. I got 4. Chloe scarfed them up. That was 2 for 8 patties. Why do you think I nicknamed Chloe? Moo, 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 moo. Anyways, joking aside, okay, seriousness. So, the government shut down, right? No one's buying, not even a cup of coffee, right? I saw a guy got out, right? He was in his 50s. I said, hey, dude. He was very polite. He said, where are you from? I said, oh, I told him. He's like, that's a beautiful area. I said, nice car. He said, thanks. He says, I'm furloughed. So a government employee with a beard, looks like a biker, driving a Mustang wide body, beautiful car, convertible. It was raining. Went in, came out. He said he got himself a breakfast meal. It was like $3.50. That's all he could afford. $3.50, something like that. You do the math, people, right there. So if people are seeing their food, Burger King alone, right? Well, how does it affect others? Well, let's just say I went into a Buffalo Wild Wings the other day. Nearly was empty. Yeah. People are cutting corners. People are literally, unless you're bringing in good money and you're doing repairs and stuff, you're hurting. I mean, I just saw the numbers for Home Depot. They're literally shutting their doors and many things. They're not getting remodel jobs. The country is faltering. They're literally faltering. They're literally semi-bankrupting the country. They're literally making the thing. I mean, literally, people are financing. People are buying too much. That's the thing. I mean, let me tell you a story about other numbers, right? Best Buy. You go to a Best Buy. There's no one there. They're like, oh, you're going to order it online. I can make the commission here. Then when you try to order it, they don't have it in stock. So you're like, pfft. I mean, literally, what's the point of going to Best Buy unless you don't have it in stock? And then half the time they want you to pick up. They don't want to ship it. And when they do ship it, I mean, think about it. Best Buy is hurting to the point where, things are like, well, they're doing like before Black Friday sales. I mean, look, if you really want to see how bad it's going to get, I'll tell you. If the government cannot reopen after Tuesday when the elections happen and they keep it closed, they're not going to even open it, right? They may try for a few more weeks and then go on Christmas vacation until Thanksgiving to Christmas too. They think they're going to, after Thanksgiving, come back and try again? I mean, literally, unless the Democrats crack, they're not going to move. People are like, oh, the Democrat, really? I mean, my sister turned around tonight and said to me, I don't support either party. But, Rita, You got to remember, the American people are tired of their health care going through the roof. You take away Obama subsidies, after getting rid of the Affordable Care Act, finally, what happens? You basically took it away, and that'll cripple 95% of the country because they can't afford health care. So she says that is one thing the Democrats have to hold strong for. Thing is, even if he did, you'd have to repeal $1.5 trillion in tax cuts, which they won't do because the billionaires like it. So to me, it doesn't really matter. Healthcare is healthcare. I mean, I'm already being screwed on Medicare, so what's the point, right? But then you have the other problem on the other side of the aisle, which is, the food stamp problem. You see, the Democrats think if they leave the food stamps off the table, right, and the courts turn around and say you got to pay the reserve currency of $5.8 billion. By the way, each account is $9 billion a month for food stamps, right? So $9 billion. That's 108. I think it's 108 billion a year. That's a little over 1/10 of a trillion going out. So in 10 years, that's $1 trillion for food stamps. I mean, literally, food stamps was supposed to be for disabled, elderly, and now they want to change the rules to make it 65 or older to get food stamps. So brother Ted would have to work for his food stamps. He wouldn't get the exemption. They'd be like, work or go hungry. See, thing is, they're trying to basically force people who's applied for disability, who's on disability, that either you use your cash assistance from your SSI or SSDI to pay for your food, or you're going to basically be thrown off, and once they find out you're working 20, 30, 40 hours a week, then you won't need the food stamps. You see where I'm going with it? So they're like sitting there and they're like, wow, that's wild, right? That they're just sitting there saying that's wild. Yeah. So they're literally trying to basically cash in on you guys turning around and working. So they can say, see, this person's working, he doesn't need disability. And that's what happens. But the main thing is the American people turn around and they're literally pissed. They're pissed off because they're not seeing their money. They're literally saying, oh, well, yeah, I can't eat without it. What about the elderly? Or the disabled? Or that. I mean, literally, they want to make it so food stamps are only for not even, quote unquote, anyone in a category that's disabled. If you're disabled and you want food stamps, they want you to work for it. And if you don't work for it, then you better use your own thing. I mean, what if my adopted brother, Ted, doesn't get his case approved for SSDI? Like, well, he'll appeal it till he's retired, right? And let's just say it doesn't happen. Meanwhile, they make new rules. Oh, brother Ted, you're going to have to either get a job for your food stamps, which you can't do, or you're just going to have to use your SSI money to pay for it. Is that right? No. But that's the way they're looking at it. They want to get rid of anything that isn't nailed down that's related to a group. So, for example, you have food stamps and you're like, well, I have food stamps and I'm covered for the phone. All of a sudden, 95% of the people on food stamps lose their food stamps, and 95% of them lose their government phone. What's left? The government phone shut down. So old lady turns around like me and says, oh, 5% are on SSI, so they'll keep people on SSI. But that means the people on SSI get a free phone. Yeah, so basically they'll change the rules. But are we out of the woods yet? No. Are we going to be out of the woods yet? Well, it depends. If the government basically turns around and says we can't dole up and give partial payments to everyone, that $5.8 billion. Remember, once the $5.8 billion is gone, there is no more money. The money is not there. So you're not going to get any funding for 2025, the end of the year. You're not even going to see anything because they have to decide who's going to get the partial payments. Most people, it's going to be $24. They'd be like, give it to someone else that needs it. But think about it. Then you have all these people that are saying, well, who gets partial, who doesn't? And then on top of that, the government turns around and says, well, we can't do anything with it because we don't have the manpower to change the computers because it's not mandatory. Most of these people are furloughed, like government housing furloughed, HUD furloughed, USDA furloughed, the thing. All these appropriation bills stopped. Why did they stop it? I'll tell you why. Because they don't want the government to run. They want to claim it's broken. I mean, look, if Congress could turn around and turn the faucet off and say, oh, well, these appropriation bills, right? The thing is the government had, I think it's like 750,000 people are unemployed right now. And a lot of air traffic controllers are about to bail. They are not getting paid. And they don't feel that they deserve to work for a government who's basically shutting down everything because of this. Now, the air traffic controllers, they can sit there and say, oh, well, it's the Democrats' fault. But, my sister Teddy said it ain't the Dems' fault. It's both parties. They're not coming together and being like, okay, let's make a deal. You want this? We want this. Let's make a CR. And said, we're not going to give in because if we give in, we're weak. Thing is the whole healthcare thing is, if that's what their main thing they're fighting for, I mean, look, even the Republicans that lie to people's teeth have a better message than the Democrats. I mean, literally, remember, President Trump said, day one, I'll lower your grocery prices or food pricing or your eggs. How's that working for you guys out? My neighbor's like, oh, yeah, great. Eggs are great. They're so cheap. Really, I haven't seen eggs cheap in a long time. The only time I hear him complain is food bank gives me only, and then he's like, I get the double yolkers. I've never seen a double yolker or triple yolked egg. Has anyone? I mean, but anyways, then he's like, oh yeah, you're full of crap. You know what's going on with him right now? I'll tell you what's going on with him right now. What the heck? So apparently the grocery store is not working. Go figure. So I'm doing a video, and yet the grocery store is not working. Let me see if it's on my phone real quick, because this is like, grocery store is not available. Hold on a sec. Unless I have too many tabs open. Whoops. Sorry about that. Alright, so let's just see. Okay, so it says here, can I actually log into the website? Oh yeah, I can. So apparently it's my computer. It's not. It's acting up on the web browser. Apparently, it says DNS cannot be found. Yeah, I found it right here. So, anyways, let me just look at the ad real quick. Okay, so it might say. Okay, so me and Chloe are talking about dinner tonight. We're talking about either meatloaf, $7.99 a meatloaf. It's like 3 pounds of meatloaf. I think we can afford that, right? And I thought maybe putting some Alfredo sauce on it. Yeah, I'm thinking of cooking with Alfredo sauce. But anyways, we're just looking at food ideas, okay? Let's see, main side bistros, chicken drumsticks. My neighbor was like, oh yeah, chicken drumsticks are on sale. It's only $1.99. It used to be $1.99, but right now drumsticks are $1.99. He'd complain about it. He's like, oh yeah, I got like a whole bunch of them. Then again, he's an idiot. He's an alcoholic that doesn't know what he's talking about. So, that's the problem. So now you have, let's see. Oh, there's a fishing reel. Shop the marine wear upstairs for fishing reels. All right, so there's wine and spirits. I don't want that. Alright, so apparently I don't want pizza pockets either. I eat a pizza pocket from time to time. Alright, so you have pork chops, drumsticks, or meatloaf. Alright, so nothing on eggs. Alright, but that's okay. We can probably find eggs later. So, anyways, point is a lot of people sit there and they buy food and they complain about food and they complain about, and then, you see people like me. I only went out, actually, I'll admit it, 4 times. And with the economy stretching, people are, like the guy asked me the other day when I had my calzones, so how was that? I said they sucked. Now, if Zoe was around, Zoe would say the same thing. They have great calzones if you have the calzone. That without the sauce on the side. So when I bought the calzone, they put the ranch sauce in a cup. They didn't bake it. They're like, oh well, they made 3 excuses. So I said they sucked. So the guy said, okay, I'll make it up to you. Make enchiladas. See, how was it? there was one enchilada. He said there was supposed to be two. One. I said they sucked, right? So the guy realizes that even though I'm a food connoisseur, I have to tighten my belt. I saw him the other day, and he said, haven't seen you coming back in. Not doing it, right? So what happened? Those restaurants sucked. Food, wouldn't recommend it. Good way to stay away from them. If they can't make a calzone properly, you don't need it. That's my mindset. Then you have, the other issue where Chloe buys lunch, right? And Chloe went in there. There was not even a line. And Chloe's like twice when she was out there recently this month for lunch. We could have saved a few bucks. It was last month. And they said, no one's buying, right? This was like 9 days into the government shutdown. No one's buying. Yeah, that's what I said. People are tightening their lid, thinking, this may go 35, 40 days, 50, 60, 70, whatever, right? So, no lines. People are cutting corners. They're eating at home. So when you sit there and you see a deal like pork chops are $2.50 a pound, you get the $2.50 a pound, smother it with some cook it, and then smother it in an Alfredo sauce, and you got dinner. So you're like, oh, that's great. I'm not done yet. So you got to cut corners. That's number one. You don't eat out. That's number two. You buy what you can on deal, like the soap. Done. You get your bulk items. Done. You don't worry about your Thanksgiving dinner right now. That you can go without. If you got a meal in your belly and it's like a box of Salisbury steaks for Thanksgiving dinner, be blessed you have the Salisbury steaks. You can't just go out. Now, if someone gives you a turkey or a ham, be blessed you have it. But thing is, you don't want to spend foolishly either. Literally. Spending foolishly is just going to cripple your own finances. And so, with the food bank gone, right, 1/3 of food banks are government funded. If that doesn't go, then you have 1/3 of it state funded and 1/3 of it's county funded, or 1/4, I should say, of each. And then the last one is donor funded. So if you see the entire thing going down the toilet, then you have a problem, okay? So, for example, the American people need to realize things happen. Yeah. And because of it, things happen. And so you got to understand that right now the numbers aren't looking good. So you got food stamps gone, right? You got brother Ted going, oh, well, I can live, until that money runs out. And then he finds out they're not restoring it, which he thinks he is. He's like, oh, they're going to restore it. Really? I don't think they are. My sister Teddy had a chat with her daughter Cassie tonight. My niece, sister, whatever. See, my sister Teddy married my dad, had 2 kids. So we don't know if they're cousins, nephews, nieces, or sister, brother. So I call them its. But, they have a good heart, all right? Like me. Problem is Cassie doesn't even think that the government's going to reopen anytime soon. She's in the retail business like a store. So think about it. If people are seeing their food stamps gone, that means stores are going to be ordering less, which means truckers are going to be delivering less, which means farmers aren't going to get paid, which means the entire collapse is beginning because someone up there in the higher echelons, I'm just saying this is a theory, don't quote me, they can end the strike tomorrow with the government, and you could see everything going back to normal, but I don't think so. I think what they're trying to do is do a 2-fold or 3-fold. One being they want to cut the government down as much as possible. Most of it's wasteful spending. Why do we need to have government funding for HUD? We didn't have HUD back in the day. We didn't have the USDA housing. Why do we need these programs? Just gut it. And they're trying to convince to make a lower, smaller appropriation bill. Now, that's number one. Number two is they could be trying to do a Great Depression, which means kill off the population like they want and only have the able-bodied workers working. That could be possible, hypothetically. Third one is a reset of the entire world's economy. Other countries are working on it. Every other country's working on it. You get the idea. So in the end, what happens? I don't know. So, I don't know. Plain and simple. I don't know. Yeah. So, what will happen? I don't know. But then how are you guys going to survive? I don't know. Because, frankly, I told you guys a long time ago to keep on prepping. My sister, she's got like 3 heads of cows. So she said 2 head of pork. I, on the other hand, buying in the bulk. Right, where I can. Fortunately, a lot of farmers are going to be hurting big time. A lot of farmers. And a lot of people are hurting. I mean, literally, people are going to be cutting corners. You're going to see more people being laid off. I mean, I heard rumors that if Sister Zoe, love her dearly, works in the hospitality industry, or that's what I heard last time, or the retail, she may be out homeless because no one's going to be buying retail. No one's going to go and buy anymore. The tourism is going to be peter out, and no one's going to come here. People are not going to spend their money foolishly on gas. If the government literally doesn't reopen, you're going to see the government literally turning around and petering out when it comes to working in hospitality or retail. Even if you work at a gas station that's considered gas stations like retail. Well, you're selling gas. Point is, what happens when it all peters out? And that's why people need to realize you're living outside your means. And so, a lot of people need to live within their means and live inside their means by eating in. Now, with me, of course, like I said, I had 3 chimichangas for dinner. It was fine. So, everyone has to come up with something. And so, in the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, how much are you willing to take? Back in the day, right, when I grew up in the 80s, we had arcades, pinball, pizza parlors. Money was okay, but people were surviving. You know, you had deals. Godfather Pizza, oh yeah. Domino's, Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut was sit down. Domino's wasn't around. We didn't hear about Domino's until they started opening up little franchises around the country. That was like 1988, right? Chuck E. Cheese, Showbiz Pizza at one time. Chuck E. Cheese was Showbiz, and the Showbiz, yeah. So I grew up with both. Arcades, pinball machines, malls. You wanted to go shopping, you went to the mall. Now, it's all on this little box here where you just click, 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 and you're done. You want underwear? Click, 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 you're done. A lot of people think, oh, this is great. Unfortunately, do you really think you guys need to? Yes. Do you really want to save money? Yes. Do you really need to do something? No. You see, a lot of people turn around, and I said this in my other video, they see a new phone, the Galaxy S25s or whatever it's called, and they have to have it, or the new iPhone. I mean, literally, this is an old phone. It's programmed for Google Voice. My other phone, yeah. My flip phones, they work. That's it. How much more do you need? How much more do you want? How much more do you feel? You see, point being is, how much? Are you living within your means? Or are you not living within your means? Literally. Back in the day, people wasted money. I waste money. I'll admit that. But nowadays, people, you have to learn valuable lessons. When you sit there and every person is glued to their phone. I was at a clinic the other day, and this is what happened. They're like this. And I'm going, email, nothing. Put it in my pocket. People are like, hey, you just checked your phone for like 15 seconds. Or I'd go like this, and I'd go. And like 2 minutes later, I'm done, right? People look at me. What were you doing? Checking the news feed. I mean, all these people are glued to their phone. And all these people are stupid. Because they're glued to their phone. They're more glued to the phone than praying to God, or Allah, or Elohim, or Yahweh, or Jehovah. And yet, they turn around and they say, well, food stamps, you know, the Democrats are going to try to use the food stamp card as long as possible so they can get you guys to be pissed off at the Republicans so they can win. I mean, think about it. They are shutting down the government for health care, which my sister says that's a good cause. It's a good cause if the Republicans wanted to give in for health care. But you know what the problem is with health care? I'll tell you. 3 reasons. 1, they don't want health care to be given because, A, that would mean they'd have to give health care to illegals or immigrants, which is a no-no. 2, they would have to give health care to people they don't like. And 3, the big one is they don't want to give health care to changing people's genders. Now, like everyone knows, I'm a rare breed. I have no regrets on that department. But a lot of people do. They transition, then they regret it, and they can't get a girl pregnant, or they killed their wiener, or, whatever. There's a lot of them have regrets. They just don't talk about it. I don't have regrets, okay? But I do think that each person, transgendered or not, needs to look inside themselves to say, is this what they really want? And, the thing is, there's a lot of people out there that, the real reason, I'll tell you the real reason why the Republican men hate the trans community isn't because, a man goes in and says, give me boobs and a vagina. No, it's because they're pissed off that you can go and look up someone like a passable woman like Julie or Blair. I'm not going to give their last names. I don't want you doxing them, people. But anyways, Julie and Blair and other passable girls, they turn around and they had all the surgeries, or what's her name? Adia, I think it is, Adia. And, Adia had all the work done too, but, people say you can still tell, all right? Anyways, point is I don't want any of these girls hurt, all right? So, and besides, half of them I don't know their last name, but they're on YouTube. Fortunately, some of them are Trumpers, which is fine. But the point is, if you look that good, the guys turn around and they're pissed because they're in love with this girl that was formerly a dude, right? And so to me, as an old lady, an old ugly lady, I can clearly tell you out of love that a lot of these people, they don't want to pay for it. They don't want to pay for the man becoming a woman, or seeing a beautiful woman with a huge, nice rack, going in and walking out and having a beard. It'd be like Zoe going in and Zoe coming out with a goatee and be like, my name's Leroy. I made a joke a couple times about that. Zoe, you're watching, you're loved. But anyways, truth is, it'd be like Brother Higgins or stepbrother Ted going through a sex change. They'd be ugly as hell, man. But, you can't stop them. But the point is, the trans community, they're getting a lot of flack. And, this is one reason why they're stopping the health care, too, is because they don't want this happening. There's all these Republican men and women who claim that there should be moral values. Well, let me just say I don't have any regrets, okay? My thing is I am not a threat to anyone. My thoughts is the genetic women of the world are pissed off because some of them are passable better and others are different. I, on the other hand, like I said, I don't have any regrets. The only regrets I have is losing my family. But, thing is, that's another reason why the government is shutting down right now, is because the government doesn't want to pay for food stamps, because $42 million, and a lot of them, as Sister Pee Wee would say, are useless eaters. And 2 is, as this guy said on the video that Brother Ted gave me, the American people have not saved much, okay? If it wasn't for my savings and stuff, paying my apartment up ahead of time many times over, I wouldn't have the excess money for groceries. I wouldn't have the excess money for supplies. I wouldn't have the money I needed to cover Moppy's vet bill. So, to me, it's a blessing we're doing this. But at the same time, a lot of people are sitting there and they're worried. I mean, literally, you can prepay your rent 6 months ahead of time, you're fine. But what would happen in 6 months from now if the government shut down your housing? That's the problem a lot of people are worried about. And that is why when people say, oh, well, the food stamps are retroactive. You think the food stamps are retroactive. You think they're just going to turn around and reopen the government. You see, what the government's trying to do under Project 2025, under my theory, is they're trying to rewrite the entire Constitution and write that food stamps. I mean, literally. I mean, you know, from 2005, or from 2002 to 2004, my food stamps was like $400 a month, and my cash assistance was $700. They changed the formula, right? I had to pay it all back from Social Security when I got approved. From 2005 to 2016, it was between $11 and $14 a month for food stamps. Think about that. That was like, what, 4 gallons of milk back then? 4 gallons. So it was a pain in the butt to do, right? So a lot of people said, you know, because I bring in too much money. That's the truth. So when we were doing the math the other day, someone said, oh, the cost of living, I'm getting $45, like me. But if you take a look at it, your Medicare premium went up like $22.50 per month. So you're getting like what, you're getting like what, $21.50 left over or $21 to $23.50 left over. That's it. So half your, most, a little under half of your payments going to Medicare premium. And then I said, well, what's 2027 looking like? Yeah, 2027's already formulated for higher premiums. So every year it's going to get higher. Think about it. So my adopted brother Ted's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to be on Medicare. Yeah, until you find out you're on tier 4, which means they'll just be like, oh, he's bringing in $10,000 a month. We're going to take $1,500 or $2,000 out just for, he wouldn't care at that point. But, you know, thing is, I don't know what he's going to get. Well, I do, but, you know, it's confidential. But anyways, I over-exaggerated the price, but you get the idea. The higher you go on Medicare, they're trying to dissolve Medicare because they think Medicare is useless. Fortunately, you know, when it comes to Medicare, maybe one day we'll talk about it more, but you get the idea. So a lot of people that have Medicare premiums, they get that $22 a month. That's $22, which you could go buy a box of garbage bags, or on sale, 4 boxes of soap. I mean, it literally doesn't help the people. My rent goes up $5 a month, but rent won't matter if you don't have a home to go to, which goes back to the next point, which is the American people don't realize that food stamps, even if food stamps have been cut. Hold on a second. Ibuprofen time. So, if food stamps are cut, that means your qualification for the half off on Medicare, food stamps on Walmart or Amazon gets stopped, right? Which they don't care. They either get, see, the thing is, what they're worried about is the $9 billion a month. Walmart, Amazon, Target, and all these places get that kind of cash, right? So what happens if you don't get it? Walmart will say, oh, you want Walmart Plus? It'll be $15.99 a month. Then they take it out, and then they turn around, and this is where you got to be careful, because if you sign up for a service, you better use it. Otherwise, don't just give your money willy-nilly to companies freely. I mean, look at the streaming services I used to have. Before they told us we had to stop giving passwords. Zoe knows this one well. Love Zoe dearly. The passwords, right? So, Netflix and Hulu and stuff. Yeah, I'd have to go in and be like, someone in Portugal is watching it, so I'd have to change my password and say I was hacked. And thing is, you know, when you're subscribing to it and someone says, oh, do you have Hulu? Yes. And then you watch like 3 movies a month. And then you're glued to, and then you go to Netflix and you're maybe watching like 3 TV shows a month. And then eventually you buy it on box set and you cut out your Netflix. And then you find out there's nothing new Netflix-wise. And they're like, oh, this is great. Eventually it goes down the toilet, yeah. And then you turn around and you say, well, what's the point if I just bought the box sets and stuff? And then you don't hear anything new on content-wise. You slowly weed your downsize your weeds, right? Or your streaming services, as I call it. And you save money. A lot of people are cutting in streaming services and only going with Roku, Tubi, Pluto, and things like Flex or something Flex. That literally gives you free service because they can't afford. People are literally penny pinching, you know. Like Tubi, free service. All you need is commercials, right? So you get commercials, you get to do your show, right? So a lot of people are cutting current corners that way. And people say in the YouTube channel, well, you shouldn't be cutting corners. You should be, because how are you going to survive? Think about it. If you got no food stamps and you're relying on the government dole to pay for your streaming service, you're going to have to start cutting corners. And that means looking around and going, like my phone service. My phone service offers me, as long as I pay it, I get Disney, so I can watch anything Disney. You know what? I may use like 4 or 5 Disney movies a month. Why? Because it is what it is. Netflix, got it on box set. Hulu, not very impressive. I think last time I checked Hulu, it logged me into my sister's Hulu net. I think I disconnected it. I told my cousin, or whatever, right? Anyways, I could check. I probably have Hulu free at Netflix through them because, see, when I set my sister's Roku up at the time, it was logged in as me because, you know, she doesn't use her email address, so everything's set up. So the secondary Roku's in Colorado, so, and then the third one's in Colorado, so it's all like linked. So I probably have Hulu, Netflix. I just don't use it because it's someone else's, and I'm the type of person that I don't use something that's not mine. You know, even though I could probably access it and be like, oh, Hulu. Thing is, I don't want to use Michelle. That's her name. She's a sweetheart. Hulu without permission. So basically, the bottom line is, you know, you have to cut corners. I use Tubi a lot. I mean, a lot of the movies. I just found a new movie I haven't seen. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. Meanwhile, my father-in-law, he's out for another 4 days. He's traveling to Kentucky. You know, I should send him a quick message and say, hey, are you okay? How's Kentucky? You know, but I don't want to bother him. He's on vacation till the 7th, so he hasn't had a vacation in 15 years, so let him enjoy it, right? That's how I am. My father-in-law. But anyways, bottom line is, when it comes to the world, people, with the food bank, one quarter government funded, 1/4 donor funded, 1/4 state funded, 1/4 county funded, food banks eventually will run out of money because no one's going to support it because everyone's going to be sucking it up, which means it's only a matter of time before food banks get closed down. And I think the government wants to shut those down because they don't want people getting free food. I think in this day and age, they're going to do everything they can to cut out like my sister said, people don't want free things. Yeah, people that need it. I mean, literally, even my sister said, if there's a rule in there that can put an 80-year-old to pluck vegetables out on the fields because we got rid of the immigrants, like, what's her name? Brooke Rollins of the USDA secretary. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but we shouldn't have our elderly picking. My adopted grandma, who's nearly 100, shouldn't be working with a sun hat, plucking fruits and vegetables out of fields or cotton. It's not, you know, it's not, it's not her way. So, and anyways, the next thing I wanted to say was, with the food stamps gone, that doesn't give the Democrats much of an incentive because they think if they can run the thing, the Republicans think if they can run this to closing of the enrollment from the new insurance company and see how many people enrolled, how many people can afford it, that would trigger them to basically maybe open the government. But at the same time, even if they said, okay, we're opening it up now that enrollment's open, they could renege and say, well, we can't do it because of Epstein. So it's either catch-22 or catch-22 now. If they don't do it with Epstein, but they do it for the healthcare, then we know something's up. But here's the other thing. They may open up after Tuesday's election. Now, they may not. The other thing is they may just go on vacation till January, which means that will really cripple the country to the point where we are looking more likely at that point, after a whole year of President Trump being in office, more likely maybe a great reset, which means you guys haven't prepped. And then you say, oh, Rita, you're just a fake prepper. Really? A fake prepper that's giving you free entertainment content by talking about what's really truly going on in the dang world, people. I mean, literally, that's the truth here. And the truth really hurts people, because when you turn around and you realize that the content that you guys are looking for is free, and then you see people emailing me saying, well, I love your channel. And by the way, the one guy said he was going to give a gift card. He never did. But anyways, that's beside the point. The point I'm making is the government turns around and they shut down food stamps, right? They don't have to reopen. My neighbor, he knows they may never reopen, but he also understands that people are living within their means. I mean, think about it. I mean, literally, think about it. There's people out there, right? For example, there's people out there, right, that are frugal, and they're frugal, and then they're frugal, and then they're really frugal, and then they're super frugal, right? And yet, without food stamps, without Walmart or Amazon Prime or Walmart Plus, things get worse. And then you see Amazon, right? You see this? Right there. Early Black Friday deals at Best Buy. I was just loading this up for a reason. And that is to talk about Best Buy. You see, Best Buy turns around and claims they have a new early Black Friday sale. Why would they have a Black Friday sale? I'll tell you why. Because they need money. That's right. They need money. They need more money than you can shake a stick at. Half the time they're trying to sell things, it's because they're hurting. Their employees are on food stamps. No food stamps, they got to raise the rates paid for their employees. Maybe they gave their employees a raise. Maybe not. Maybe their employees are like, well, we can't work under this extreme circumstance. For example, the computer Chloe wants just went up $400, and you get it in 2 days instead of 1 day now. Or instead of a week, it's now 2 days. Why? Because no one's buying, right? And the TV's on sale, and then you have other TVs on sale, and then you look at other things, right? And then a lot of these are sold out, but I'm not talking about sold out. I'm here to talk about certain items, right? Like, for example, there's some limited edition items at Best Buy. Those are sold out. And you could say, oh, but why is it sold out, Rita? Because everyone wanted that particular model, and it sold out. And then as soon as it's sold out, you try to look for it, and you may not find it within 500 miles because A, they're sold out, and B, when you do get them in, they are sold out within 3 days. And so, again, you're stuck with it. It's like the scalpers. I was talking to Best Buy about scalping the other day, and again, they just lowered the price again. Why? Because they can. How come? Because they had to. But you see where we're going? When you go in this day and age with no food stamps, right? And you may lose your Prime. You lose your Walmart Plus. You may even lose your government phone. More likely your government phone won't be lost, but they may just keep the government shut down because of Epstein. Or they're trying to teach you all a lesson about being grateful for what you have. Because here's the kicker. People these days, they get phones. They're always on their phones. They use their phones. They use their smartphones. They're always on their phones. And when I grew up, I had a bag phone. It was in a bag, right? It looked like a car phone. Old car phone in a bag. Brick phone, flip phone, etc. Those were phones. All it did was you dialed, right? Nowadays, like this. Flip phone. Turn it on. Right? Make a phone call. Put it in your pocket. That's it. Nowadays, there's more. They want you to have a smartphone so they can track you. They can put viruses in it. They can put whatever, right? People got rid of their smartphones and paid $20 a month for something like this. You guys would be better suited. Even Kyle of Secular Talk is thinking, Kyle Kalinske, I think his name, is thinking about getting a flip phone. I highly recommend it. It would save you guys a lot of money and you wouldn't have to worry about smartphones. This smartphone is only used for like a tablet and Google Voice. So, the bottom line is I love both of you. I love all of you. And you see, the Democrats are hoping if they could make your Thanksgiving really crappy, you'd vote for them in election time of 2026. And if that isn't bad, and they think they can really win, the Dems could probably turn around and keep the government shut down even through Christmas and New Year's, and be like, the holidays were crappy for our people. And then you'd vote for them because that's something they're thinking about. They're thinking about themselves staying in power. And the thing is, it's a power play. It's power play. Now a lot of people say, "Oh well, the Republicans." Look, let's put it this way: if the food bank, if the federal government cuts out food banks, there's still 3 different ways to fund the food banks: state, county, and donors. So it'd be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, right? Now pay attention here. You think the government cares if food stamps are not being brought back? No, they don't. If they could cut out 95% of people's Medicaid and tell you if you want Medicaid, you have to work for it, 95% of people would just give up their Medicaid, right? I have Medicare, so yeah, with a lot of health issues. Now, when it comes to Medicaid, right? When it comes to food stamps, they want to give you a work program, even if you're like 65 years old, like Brother Ted. And they're like, "So, Ted, you're 65, you still got to work." And he's like, "I can't work 80 hours a week or 80 hours a month being a volunteer." Then he loses food stamps. That's another way they're going to cut corners. They're going to basically rebuild it so 5% of people that, they're trying to basically weed out who's disabled and who isn't. So, possibly. But that's just one of the tip of the iceberg things. And if that doesn't work, well, here's the kicker. If you go into the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, right, you're going to see the economy change. You're going to see the stock market go down a bit because people are using credit cards. And they're living within their means. And now they're learning that they should have had a nest egg. Most people that buy things, back in the 50s and 40s, people bought things that they needed. They didn't buy things that they did not want, right? Nowadays, you walk into a store and you walk out with many things. I mean, think about it from my point of view with my stepfather back then, Roy. He used to tell me, "What good's one of these?" Right? Well, it's got a built-in radio. But you know what? Old Roy, dear old dad, realized that with 3 or 4 of these little color TVs, I'd be sitting there watching it all night, in bed. He realized really quickly that kid's got something, a little TV that's running, or I'd be sitting there like this, right? Is this the big one? Yeah, this is the big one. I'd be sitting there like this, people, right back in the day. Oops. It's been so old. So old, but still. I'd like to share it with you one of these days. There we go. I was like this. Old man would sit there and he'd be like, "What do we got tonight?" And I'd be like, "Whatever I'm watching." Or we'd be in Woodby Island. Little TV would be sitting there, right? We'd go in this little trailer, each of us had a bed. And, I don't remember which bed I had. I think my bed was next to Dad's, next to the toilet. I think it might have been I was at the back end near the bed. But anyways, I'd be watching this little TV, right? Eventually, Dad realized, the little TV may have been kind of an overexpense, but the thing is, it worked, right? So a little history lesson for you. But thing is, Dad Roy, he always basically knew I had a little TV with me. But the point is these people, TVs went out of business. Little TVs, bankrupted. Companies, stopped making them. Casio makes TVs, not anymore. Citizen, stopped making TVs. I remember going out on places sometimes where I would have to carry a bucket of AA battery. But, for the story's sake, I'd have this, and I'd hear my dad Roy at times, talk about back when, talked about the TV. Where am I going to be at 3 o'clock when Wapner's on doing the Home Alone, the Rain Man thing? But guess what? I loved my dad dearly. I did. He probably doesn't remember those things 30 years ago, but TVs were great. But now, people are looking at technology, and as they're buying stuff, technology is fading away. People are like sitting there and they're like, oh, well, I can stream Pluto on my TV, on my phone. The other day, I was watching some guy, and he's like this. So I said to him, I was on the ferry, hey, dude, what are you doing? He says, I'm watching Pluto. I was like, oh, yeah. He said, I can also get Tubi on my device, too. Can you get any TV channels? I thought, see, my adopted brother said the same thing the other day. He's like, oh, if you buy this little tuner for your such and such, right? So, for example, someone would sit there, right? I'm going to tell you a story. So someone would tell me from time to time on purchasing an item, right? Like Chloe's always asked me what I want for Christmas, right? Well, she already knows what I want for Christmas, so. So basically, the other day I was talking to my Chloe, right? I say my Chloe, and we were talking about TVs, right? And I said, yeah, I'd like to get one of these small TVs, just a little portable TV, I could take with me. She said, okay, so she ordered me a TV for Christmas, right? It's a little pocket TV type thing, right? On eBay. Cost her a couple bucks, right? And she's like, I hope you like it, right? And it's a little portable TV. Brand new in the box, right? And it's got a tuner in it, right? And I said, oh, I can't wait. This will be great, right? And she's like, I'm glad. I'm really glad for you, right? Comes everything, right? She chose it. Because back in the day, Chloe and I were talking about an RCA, right? Fortunately, unless you calibrate it properly, the last antenna I bought for my home, for the living room, was getting 3 channels from Vancouver, British Columbia, and Victoria. So I got like 7 channels total. Yeah, that was it. Nothing from America. Yeah, it picked up the nearest digital tuner over there. And I thought it was funny, you're like, why? And they're like, because. And I'm like, you're joking. And they're like, no. So, a lot of people turn around and they say, well, I'd like to buy a new TV, but I don't want to buy it as, it's new and open box. I'll buy an open box as long as I know it's new. And, they're not like testing it and showing it working. Otherwise, I buy it, And so to me, people say, well, what's the point of having a portable TV if the portable TVs, if you're not going to use it much, and you got like this little antenna, you pop it out and, they give you a magnet and a plug and stuff. And yeah, to me, it's like, well, you can use that as a portable TV, digital TV. Unfortunately, a lot of people, don't think about these, because they say, oh, well, you have to be, for example, using it. And a lot of people will look into these little TVs again and they'll buy it. Why? Because If it comes with a digital tuner that you can actually get TV, you may just be sitting there with a portable TV on your table at night plugged in going, well, I paid $70 for this and it works. I mean, if you buy a regular TV, like $75 TV at Best Buy's having sale, then you got to buy the digital tuner or antenna and you better hope it works. Otherwise, you're just like, oh, this TV's not getting anything. Oh, I moved in 3 different locations. You see, point is you have to have it properly calibrated. So to me, it's always good to use a portable TV first, if you get something. So my point is, something like that would be beneficial. But in this day and age, you got to ask yourself, how far are you going to go to be frugal? Because, like I said, a portable TV like that would be useful. But you got to find a use for it. And so that's where I'm trying to teach you. But at the same time, food stamps get restored. And you go all the way to this November, say Thanksgiving time, you're going to see the entire country collapse slowly from within because no one's going to make their credit card payments. Country goes bankrupt. No one's going to be basically buying gas. Cars are going to be stopped. No one's going to be flying on airplanes. Air traffic controllers are going to say, the hell with this. You want to fire me, fire me. I'm not working without pay. Government sits there and says, yes, we got rid of them. Meanwhile, the airlines are basically stalled. They're not moving. Airlines will move all over the country, Canada and everything else, but the United States will be in a frozen hub. Like, they're going to try, then the airline companies may just be like, move all their planes outside the country, and then people will be like, well, we'll drive. But so the country collapses on that. Air traffic controllers, fuel is being cut down on expenses because airplanes aren't using too much fuel because they're not flying around the country. Amazon turns around and says, well, we don't have air traffic controllers. We can't deliver your packages. And the truckers are going, well, we're not getting paid. I mean, we can pay, Amazon pays us a decent wage. We'll move their crap for them from point hub to point B to point C in our long haul trucking, but we're not going to turn around and basically work for free. So the truckers may be working, but they're not going to be working for the farmers who need their crops delivered. And the farmers aren't going to get anything done. And eventually, it's going to come down to it. If it's at Christmas time and everything's stalled, let me tell you, I think Christmas is going to be worse than Thanksgiving. Because Thanksgiving, they're trying to move everything into place now, right? So the point is how do you move something in when the government turns around and can't supply turkeys? Let's just say you go to the store one day and they're like, sorry, we don't have turkeys. People are like, well, what? Truckers aren't moving, right? So the food stamps aren't paying it. See, if the food stamps aren't paying, if the people at the food stamps aren't getting food stamps, and the stores are sitting there, and the stores can sit there and say, well, we have to cut corners this year. We're going to cut out turkeys. Yeah, and then all of a sudden what happens? My stepdad, let's just say dear old Roy, love Roy, turns around and says, oh, I went to the store, Rita. If he ever messaged me, I was extended. And there was no turkeys. Well, then he goes out and says, okay, we're going to do something different, right? Goes out, finds out. Stores aren't even bringing in hams because, well, the food stamps aren't covering the stores aren't covering the truckers that. Eventually, you're going to see the stores limiting stock because people don't have money. And the ones that do, they're going to be penny pinching. It's like that guy said. They're going to be looking to stretch their dollar at the dollar store. Yeah, I mean, look at what I did, okay? So, here's what I did this evening, okay? I turned around, right? Chloe wants rib roast for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now, I can't do a rib roast. No, Sister Pee Wee would say, well, it's too rich for your blood. It's too rich in general. So, I went out, I looked for deals, right? I thought, okay, I got a freezer. Whole lamb's already in there. I can do a leg of lamb, be happy. But Chloe wants prime rib. So I called Chloe. How about we'll buy a couple whole chickens. I'm not really a big fan of chickens. All right, I'll eat them for myself. After Thanksgiving, I'll have a couple whole chickens. I said, how about a duck? I've only had it once. Fine, we'll get 2 ducks. We'll have it for Thanksgiving. I don't know. So I radio her. Well, how about a smoked turkey? A little more money, yeah. In the end, I said, how about, oh, which reminds me, I need to find my phone real quick, a ham. I'm not a big fan of ham. So I got 2 ducks, 2 whole chickens, and a butterball for under $75. That's plenty of roast right there, right? See, you got to look at the frugal side of things. Each duck's like 7 pounds. 2 ducks, 14 pounds. 2 chickens, 6 pounds each. A butterball, 24 pounds. $75 out the door. No rib roast needed. Beef, too expensive. Why? Because the farmers here in this country are struggling. Same goes with the other. But people say, so for example, my father, Roy, can't get turkey. He'll go for a ham. But what if they don't have ham? I mean, the stores could cut out ham and turkey and then turn around and say, well, the government cut food stamps. We're not getting food stamps. So it's not our big deal to cater to someone who wants to celebrate Christmas or birthdays or Christmas or Thanksgivings or Easters when it's a waste of money. So they may just basically run the basics. I mean, stores could do that, or they could cater to the wealthy. Bottom line is, are you willing to do that? Because if it gets to Christmas, the Republicans are going to be really crapping gold bricks. Not because they want to, because they're scared. They're more scared than you can think about. And you could sit there and say, but Rita, why are they scared? Think about it. Republicans will be scared. Every day it gets pushed off. First they'll be blamed for the shutdown. Then they'll be blamed for the crappy Thanksgiving that everyone got screwed. If it gets to Christmas and they're not budging on people's health care, the Republicans are like, the Dems will be like, AOC and all them, blame it on them. They're not moving, right? And the people are going to be really pissed because, A, the government ain't reopened, and either the Republicans are going to sit there and say, blame the Dems. The Dems did this. You had a crappy Thanksgiving. You had a crappy Christmas. Blame the Dems because the Dems want you to fail and you're not getting jobs. You're living on credit cards. Oh, you guys all lost your house. Blame the Dems for it. The Dems are going to sit there and be like, well, what we need is to protect 42 million people. So they think that 1 to 2 million government employees are expendable. That's what Rambo said in the movie Rambo 2. Expendable. Then deal with 42 million people losing their health care. Now, I'd like to see the true numbers because I don't believe it's 42 million, but, that's just me. Then you have the government screwing around, right? So if it gets to Christmas, they're going to be like, well, we're sorry a lot of you lost your house, but we're protecting the people. So what if the government sits there and says, well, there's no need to open up, right? So it goes into January, right? And people are sitting there and they're really struggling, right? Social Security people are getting the checks, food stamp people. And then with a volatile jobs market already, it could go longer. They could just sit there and say, well, see, we could open the government, but they still want to add a health care bill too, right? The health care thing doesn't matter at that point because unless they close open enrollment early, the second wave of open enrollment for Medicare only is January 1st to the 31st. So what if they decide to wait till April 1st and say, okay, we're opening the government because, the open enrollment's ended, right? So then, it's the healthcare thing that they're sinking. But if you turn around and they say, well, we don't need the healthcare anymore because we're not paying for men in dresses. But meanwhile, everyone's hoping the food stamps are going to be restored. I mean, maybe they want to kill Obamacare, which they already did. But what if they didn't, right? What if they say, well, a lot of Republicans are getting flack, but they're not listening. A lot of people are saying, well, when they go to polls, they're going to make proof that they're going to get rid of Republicans because their health care is going down the toilet. I mean, back in the day, health care wasn't this big of a problem, okay? But the Democrats that are running on this. Then you have the Republicans saying, well, we have to fix things because we can't keep giving money freely. My sister said that. But if the government doesn't restore food stamps, the government would have to find a way to dissolve the Obamacare or Obama phones, which means Obama phone's gone. Then that's it. Obama phone's gone. Obamacare's gone. They'd get rid of Obamacare and Obama phone. Then, or it could be by then, by April, we'd be in a Great Reset or a Great Depression. Because think about it. If we go past Christmas, the American people are going to start a new trend. And you know what that trend's going to be? That trend is going to kick or kill, I should say, not kill American people. Well, some people may die, but I don't know, okay? That means I got to use the restroom and grab some more coffee. That means the economy is collapsing, right? People are going to turn around and only buy, if they can afford anything, the basics. Yeah, they're going to sit there and be like, oh, so we have 4 kids, we need 24 bars of soap for the month, $12, right? But by then it may be like $40. So they may just buy that, right? They'll buy the basics. They'll buy the cheapest and say this has to work, right? And we don't know what's going to happen to the government jobs. They want to axe everything they can. So this is the perfect time to keep shut down. And then the Republicans think that they can win. But what if the Republicans get a rude awakening when 2026 comes and all these people that had government jobs turn around and say, I was a government employee, and they didn't reopen, they pissed me off, so they go vote blue. And all of a sudden, you got both House and Senate back because these people are sitting there saying, see what happened? You took away our health care, we squirmed. First you axed our jobs, we squirmed. You said, oh, blame it on the Dems. Then you took away our health care. We squirmed more. Then you took away the people's food stamps. We squirmed even more. Eventually, we had enough of being pushed, and we pushed back. That could happen. Think about it from the government point of view. We don't know what's going on, okay? But it could collapse the entire economy. Think about it. Ever since we got in, right, they claim we have trillions. Like he said the other day, there was like $17 trillion accumulated in tariffs. So if we got $17 trillion, let's just give it to the people that need their health care and their food stamps. Because frankly, I don't buy that number. Unless you have something that you want to sell to me, I don't buy that number. I think that number stinks. I think that number is false. Right? So anyways, that's what I think. But what do I know, right? What do I truly know? Yeah. Thing is, I don't. As my brother Ted would say, I don't know anything. So, anyways, the bottom line is for you people out there, when you're sitting there screaming and yelling and complaining about your food stamps, that's fine. I want to scream and yell about not getting my game time in because every time I turn around, Brother Ted's like, oh, look at this, you need to watch this. Well, why not you help me with the old lady and the B-Link and the Kumari machine? Get it done and be done with it. But nope. You see, that's the thing, And now we all got a penny pinch and be frugal. My brother Ted would turn around and be like, do the Dell commercial. Dude, you're getting a Dell. Yeah. Well, anyways, Chloe wants a new laptop, right? Oh, yes. Let me get my coffee. That's what I was going to do. Bathroom coffee. Because I'm almost done, I hope. Warm coffee. I'm just going to the bathroom. Man. Funny. I just went in to check. Oh, it's right here. See, I can't even see right now. Okay, here's my phone. Anyway, my coffee is in here. I use a thermos to keep it warm. So basically, thank you for waiting, everyone. So basically, the American people is going to see a lot of crap hit the fan. This is what I would call the black swan event approaching. And it isn't pretty. Because if it was pretty, and that is where Walmart, I'm going to check on hams eventually, but not in the mood right now. Whereas Walmart is trying to get a deal in too. I get to drink black coffee because I'm out of milk. So I get to try this black coffee from Kirkland Supremo, Zoe's favorite. Cheers to Zoe. The bottom line is the American people need to realize that we're going to be struggling more. Why do you think I take and expand my coffee in this to make it last longer? So when the pot's empty, I put it on here and have it throughout the day. So I don't have to brew more. Plus the fact I'm out of coffee already. So Chloe's like, oh, I'll pick you up some in the morning. Actually, the last pot's sitting in the pot right now, ready to push for in the morning. So when that's done, Chloe's going to be bringing me some more and some milk. So praise Chloe for that one. As Chloe would say, praise Allah. So the point is we're going into the time right now, people. And I want to give you some advice about this. Big advice. My cousin Dinky would never hear me. She basically texts me in the morning. I got you. So basically the bottom line is when it comes to Chloe, or I should say Dink, is the fact of the matter is, sorry, I'm looking up something real quick, is with Walmart, there we go, is the fact of the matter is that the thing about my sister Dinky, cousin Dink, is right now you got to think of items is either basic needs. Some people say coffee's a basic need. My cousin Dinky would say it's a luxury. Sorry, Dink. Coffee is not a luxury, he says. Oh, this is the right temperature. So, anyways. What the heck was that? Dude. Next level 4K streaming by On. What, does On have their own TV channel? Anyways. So anyways, Chloe asked, does does Walmart sell smoked turkey? And I was like, I have negative clue Walmart sells smoked turkey. They may smell smoked turkey breast, but not smoked turkey. Because Costco sells their own turkey smoked. But it's like $50 for, so 53 results for smoked turkey. Here we go. Smoked, fully cooked turkey breast. Yeah, see? 9-pound turkey breast. Isn't the turkey breast actually manufactured? Because I think it's all manufactured. But anyways, enough about that. I want to do smoked ham. Okay? So basically, I'm just checking. So the bottom line is the American people, you're going to have to realize a lot of things are going to become luxury items to them. So they're going to have to be very frugal and very the smoked ham whole. See, if you put in whole, it may come up with something. If you put in whole turkey, it may come up with something. Otherwise, it's going to pull up packets. So here we go. Sugardale Prestige Portion Ham, 8 to 12 pounds. Market side natural, juicy, boneless, spiral cut ham. They're only offering 4.8 pounds. Oh, I'm sorry, but I want a bigger one. How about this one? 24-pound whole ham. See, now that is a good leg of ham right there. The Sugardale, that's what you want. So, this one's not bad. Honey cured, but it's only 4 pounds. It's like every time you turn around. Oh, here's one that's 14.5 pounds, I think. Is this what it is? Double caramel? You see, that's a luxury item right there. 14.6 pounds. Salted caramel. I don't want salted caramel ham. I want something else. I do think Market Side makes a great ham. Fortunately, you just got to look for the right one. These are all sold out, so Here we go. Doubles, brown sugar double glazed ham. See, now that is something I would get right there. The market side. Market side ham. That's what I put in. Market side ham. There we go. So when it pulls it up, it'll pull it up quickly now. See, you got the double glazed brown sugar brown sugar double, the caramel. I'm not a big fan of it. And then you got the honey cured double. Honey cured double. I'll take that. Honey cured double. Yeah. That works. See. And so when you get it, you look at it and you say, okay, so, you add that to the shopping list and you can end up walking out with 3 hams and 3 dinners or 3 whole roasted dinners, stretching it out for like 12 to 15 meals because you got 10-pound ham. So you got to think about inside the box and outside the box. So that's what I was trying to teach you guys. But when you guys come to me and you say you need tips on food, this is why you got to realize that with your food bank orders, food bank may not be providing you anything anytime soon. So the question you got to ask yourself is, are you willing to go down that rabbit hole? Yeah. Yeah, so it's like 9.8 pound average, you see? So what I'll do is I'll keep that in my shopping cart so Chloe and, she can look it over on payday. Or not payday, tomorrow. But anyways, the bottom line is, when it comes to these things, you're going to have to start making decisions. The government is not going to be there for you forever. That's the thing. When you think the government's going to bail you out, the government may not bail you out. The government may turn around and literally go woo doggy, and then you're basically screwed because you didn't get your food properly, or you didn't order properly, or you didn't cut corners properly. I mean, literally, has anyone ever looked at things and said, well, I need this or I need that? No, you guys sit there and you literally, you don't even cut corners. You just sit there and you, look at Chloe the other day. Chloe was looking at buying potato chips, right? True story. And so she's like, oh, I want to get like 10 bags of potato chips. She almost had it ready to win 10 bags of potato chips. You know what happened with the 10 bags of potato chips? They said, we're not shipping you the 10 bag. Damn, look at that. So they moved it again. I wonder about the other 2. Let me look at the other 2 because I think it's funny, right? So Chloe ordered some pre-orders for Christmas, right? Funny story. There's some games, right? And for her family members, and they're not for me. Anyways, they're talking. This one says you can get it November 6th, right? They're like, you can get it November 6th. Okay. This one, apparently, let me see, is November 6th. The third one, November 18th to the 24th. Yeah. And so it's funny because you're like sitting there going, why is it so delayed, right? Yeah, hold on. Let me Google something real quick because I'm just curious. Yeah. And then you put in cut and paste, right? And then we're gonna check the other 2 games. Stupid frickin' thing. There. So apparently they're not giving a reason why. Okay, so Anywho, back to the funny story. Okay, so apparently, Chloe's got soup being ordered. Hasn't been shipped yet. Apparently, there is a new delay on the soup because everyone's sucking up the soup. So that was funny to tell you. But then she was talking about, she's got these games and are like, not games for me, but anyways, they're other games pre-orders, and she was like saying, that it'll be delayed. Like this one here is like delayed by a week for soup. This one's delayed by 12 days for soup. This one's delayed by, wow, look at that. It's like right now they're saying the delivery date for this is moved again. So they're saying November 21st to December 4th. And then they're saying November 22nd to December 10th. Well, why don't we just ask why these are delayed? Because I'm curious why. I mean, literally, is there a stock problem or is the government really shutting down for importing things? Let's see. So apparently, so the Amazon's got a lot of delay problems. So there you go. And a lot of people say, well, that's because, if you read the Amazon news, Amazon's literally canceling. Let me just go to cart real quick because I have to check on something. So Chloe was talking about soap the other day. She's like, place an order for soap. Okay, so to order soap currently, she would get it Thursday. So there you go. Anyways, Chloe's got some orders that are due in, I don't know when. And then she's got Walmart. I think she's got Walmart coming in Wednesday, or is it Thursday? I mean, Walmart says they're delaying on orders too for some reason. Yeah. So, while I have Walmart up, why don't we just add a few items? Okay, so it says Wednesday and Thursday. So, everything's coming Wednesday or Thursday. So, let's just go Market-side ham. Chloe's going to want me to fill her shopping cart up anyways while we're talking because that's Chloe. So, she's going to want the brown ham, or brown sugar, and then the honey cured. She loves both. Okay. And then she wants a duck. She's like, duck. So, duck. Go whole duck, right? Then we want whole chicken because, well, we can. Here we go. And then she wants whole duck, whole chicken. The roasting chicken. See, I know what I'm doing. Here we go. Oh, and we'll take a couple of those too because, well, Chloe's going to be like, oh, I want one of those. And then, because she loves those little Cornish game hens. Okay, and then she wants not bad for the price so far. And then she wants one of these. There we go. And then we go over here to see, am I missing anything? Let's see. Yeah, there. Oh, yeah, I know what we're missing. Whole turkey. Yeah, because she wants a whole turkey too, see? And then this would feed us, for me and Chloe, for about a month. So we just go over here and we choose the size we want of turkey. Turkey. Oh, we'll take one of those too, just because, okay. Organic turkey. You can have an organic turkey that's sold out. So a lot of people are doing that. And then the turkey breasts look good too. But, alright, so with that done, all I have to do now is print it out. Yeah, let's just print this out real quick so it's all set up for Chloe when she comes in the morning. See how it's still working? And this will be approved by Chloe by in the morning. Anyways, this is why I needed to set it up anyways. But then my brother Higgins will be like, you're paying for a whole tree. No, actually I'm not. The printer is gonna print. So you just do this. And then you go print and you make sure it's big enough. Last time it wasn't big enough. And then you go more settings, default. It said 150. There we go. Now how about 125? We just want to make sure it looks good without overextending things. Yeah, there we go. 125%. We'll just print it out there and see what happens. Hopefully it works because the printer's got a little problems anyways with the cartridge. The other day I put in an extra large cartridge. Didn't work. Half the time the printer we just bought, I got one being returned on Wednesday. So anyways, there we go. I like lists. That's why I make them. It's easier for me to show Chloe because she's autistic. But anyways, this is our Christmas, our Thanksgiving list. So, all done. Anywho, where was I? So basically what I'm trying to tell you is you got to be frugal. You can't just go sit around and spend money that you may or may not have. And you got to basically watch your P's and Q's because no one knows if the government's going to restore the food stamps or not. And if they don't, well, you're screwed. And if you do get it, then be blessed. Because right now, I don't think the government's going to be opening anytime soon. I think they're going to delay it because of Epstein. I think they're going to delay it till open enrollment ends. Hypothetically, and a theory I have. And three is, I think they want more time to axe every government agency they can to downsize. And to do this, this is the perfect way. And then they can blame the Democrats. Which, by the way, I don't think either party's good. I think they're both crap. But that's because I think Americans are basically sitting there saying, well, we didn't vote for this. And then the Repubs are going, we didn't vote for this either, but they did. You see where I'm going with this? The American people need to realize that we didn't vote for this. We voted for peace and harmony. They voted for, I don't know what they voted for. I mean, literally, what did they vote for? I mean, literally, how do you rebuild the entire country? You know, that's the thing. How do you literally rebuild the entire country? You can't. Not unless you lose food stamps. And the food stamps, you know, a lot of people want you to get off your butt and work. Yeah. By the way, I want to share with you a few things. A couple things I've seen in the reports was that with people, government employees, a lot of them don't live within their means. They live outside their means. And when the government took and knocked down, that's why a lot of government agencies and a lot of government people say, you know, you at least should have a nest egg of $400 as an emergency. Maybe double that in case. But some people can't save. Like Brother Ted, he's like, oh, I can't save because I'm on SSI. That's what my uncle and aunt were saying to my sister. My aunt and uncle, who's my aunt and uncle and my sister's aunt and uncle, they're disabled. They're worried because there's no food stamps yet. My aunt and uncle turned around and my uncle's sister, my other aunt, that's their payee, will take care of them. So it's like family will take care of him. It's like I told my sister Teddy, I get homeless, I'm either going to be living with my stepdad, Poppy, my father-in-law, or living in a tent in the backyard of my sister's house. She just chuckled. The thing is, it could get that way because if the government doesn't reopen, you don't, the food, people say, oh, the food stamps, we have to eat. Let me tell you again, for the record, you may complain about food stamps being out of money, but that's not the least of your worries. You know what you need to worry about, my friends? I'll tell you. The least of your worries, Americans losing their health care. What if the Republicans turn around right? And they say, no, we're not opening, right? Democrats keep fighting it, right? All of a sudden, the Democrats got a bigger pill to swallow in midterms, right? They turn around and they say, look what the Republicans did. The Republicans took away your health care. You're paying more. You don't like it. You deserved it less, right? People are going to decide food or health care. But if the job markets are crumbling or collapsing, then you have the other problem in the world. And that is, they're going to sit there and say, see, for a whole year, you guys have, Republicans are like, you've lived without food stamps, you manage. Meanwhile, the Democrats are being like, oh, they took away your food stamps and health care. We have to help you. You know, you got to vote for us. People can live without health care to a point. My sister said that, to a point. Food stamps, people can make it work without it. When the Republicans are really going to be pissed off, that could turn the entire tides of all the Republican Party, is housing. Now, if the HUD gets gutted completely, like they want, and the USDA's housing program for rentals, I bet you that it will be the biggest blue wave, aka the gauntlet, you ever seen. People will sit there voting from their tents going, I mean, think about it. There'll be tent cities everywhere, and then Donald Trump's going to try to get rid of it. But guess what? He could be doing this possibly for the Insurrection Act or martial law because, well, housing, you know, if he can't basically sit there and people sit there, here's what's happening, okay? American people turn around and they see he's been egging them on for insurrection and martial law. And they're not budging. They're like, oh, look, well, peacefully. So what you do? Keep the government shut down. Also, the government shut down. Now, if the government shut down, I want to argue and say, if the government shut down, the National Guard is not essential, right? Well, let's ask the AI. I have AI still up. Well, let me ask that question. If the U.S. government is shut down, isn't the National Guard not essential? Because in my opinion, we shouldn't even be paying for that. However, I do got an email I need to send. So basically, the National Guard, right? They're not getting paid. So I'm surprised they could all go get court-martialed and get 3 square meals a day and be put in the gulag than basically dealing with not getting any money. So it says right here, pay is delayed by the National Guard. But if the government's not getting any money or appropriation bills, the military could basically turn away. Hold on. So basically, the AI is saying that the National Guard cannot quit. They can. It doesn't matter if they go AWOL. They're not getting paid. That's the thing. That's the thing, you know. Hold on. So basically, my opinion is in the military thing of the AI, no money, no worky. That's what I just said. So basically, the AI is arguing with me. So I told the AI to shut up and quit it. Because we're not talking to the AI about this, you know. So basically, they're saying in the middle of a court martial, no one cares. If the military wasn't getting paid and they wanted to get out of it, they could just do court martial. No one cares, right? They're not getting paid, so why should they show up for duty? If they're not getting paid, and 42 million people aren't getting food stamps, and the military, the National Guard's not getting paid, and the military ain't getting paid, I'd say just take a furloughed vacation. I mean, literally. I mean, once the Navy carriers can run for 50 years with refueling every 25, or, you know, the naval ships, right? But what if the Navy basically turns around and doesn't have food? What are they going to do? Stop in Argentina and say, I need food? I mean, jokingly, of course, I'm trying to be funny here, but the thing is, the military is, I mean, if the government keeps doing what they're doing, what is he going to do? Declare all food as the military's and go and raid everyone's houses? No, I mean, he could. There's a law somewhere on the books on that. But the point is people don't realize that the military could quit. These people could sit there and say, I'm not doing it. You can arrest me and haul me off to a gulag. Here's my gun. I'm not doing it because, frankly, we're not getting paid. I mean, look at most of the government. All air traffic controllers left. It wouldn't matter. Airplanes wouldn't go. It wouldn't matter to me. I'd be like, I'm not flying, so what's going to happen? Amazon packages are delayed. Oh, well, they can load it on a truck. Oh, Amazon doesn't want trucks. They're like, oh, we're losing money because our planes are grounded. Not my problem. They may be grounded in the United States, but they're not grounded in Canada. They're not grounded in Mexico. They're not grounded in the rest of the world. You see, the government shutdown is not just about food stamps. It's about the whole organization of what happens, right? The Republicans are hoping that the Democrats come to the table. Democrats, they're not going to come to the table. They're going to sit there and say, look, you took away food stamps, and the Republicans are going to go to the president and say, we took food stamps away, there's no riots. We took away the health care, there was no riots. You see, the way they could riot if they really wanted to take away Social Security, everyone would take up arms. Every elderly person would take up arms, I bet. That's what I heard anyways at one time. But point is, for the sake of the argument, the thing is they're looking for any way, all right? So what happens in Thanksgiving when everyone has their dinner and most people aren't paying for it? Walmart's not going to see Thanksgiving meats being sold. They're going to sit there and be like, we didn't sell enough meats. We didn't sell enough meat to justify Thanksgiving, or right? Then they'll be like, oh, well, government will open, we'll sell it. Christmas. Christmas comes, Christmas goes. What happens? I bet you if the United States basically got a real rude awakening one day and the food stamps were taken, which they have, and people turned around and didn't do anything with it, and they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do something different. We're going to, after this cup of coffee, I'm out. We're going to turn around and we're going to not buy anything, right? So people sit there and they learn their lesson. Well, we don't need this, right? All of a sudden, what happens? Apple says, new phone comes out, and they say, it's a new phone. We don't want it. Or they turn around and they see a new Android phone. They're like, it's not worth it. And then eventually they say, well, we don't want the government tracking us. So all of a sudden you see a report online that 95% of smartphones have been turned out and everyone's buying flip phones. And the government says, flip phones. They're all going with flip phones, right? Because people are turning around and say, well, we don't need to pay for a smartphone like this because we don't need to pay $65 or $85. They go and pay $20 for the phone, $20 for the service, and be like, oh yeah, I got unlimited minutes for the month. Meanwhile, Uncle Sam's seeing the phone industry going being demolished. Meanwhile, they're like, well, we took away their food stamps, right? Well, what did they do? They turn around, right? Let's just say these people are struggling, right? After food stamps and everything else happening and the government's not reopening, right? They turn around and they say, let's just say 2 million people, government employees, right? Turn around. And what do? They decide, okay, well, we're not going to work anymore. Air traffic controllers stalled. Amazon airplanes are stopped. TSA is still working. Or TSA says, well, we have no airports to guard because the planes aren't coming in. So they quit. Next thing you know, you have nothing and nothing and nothing, right? The entire country is collapsing. Realizing eventually everything goes down the dodo, like the dodo bird. Now you're thinking, how's this possible? Well, think about it. Food stamps go, truckers can't deliver, Amazon can't deliver, people aren't getting paid. Eventually, the big bubble of the U.S. government gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, whereas everyone's out for themselves. Eventually, they're going to turn around and say, well, the United States lasted this long, but it's time we tighten our bootstraps, sons and daughters. So what happens? They turn around and they do like I tell you. They get rid of Netflix. They get rid of Hulu. They go and say, oh, I just bought this streaming device, right? Let's just say they keep their internet. Maybe their internet's like $40 a month, right? And they're going to share internet. Or people are moving family members in because they have to, make their house count. So they all get one router. And the router can have like 100 internet people on it right at home. So they get the router. They get the fastest internet. They stream their Roku. Their Roku. They get a Roku, right? $20, $30. Roku Express, Roku, Tubi, Netflix. All right, Roku, Tubi, Flex, right? Or Plex, that's it. Free services, right? People are sitting there, commercial at it, right? You see Netflix, we're going bankrupt. You see Hulu going bankrupt. You see Disney trying to hold together Hulu, Netflix, ESPN, and HBO all together. Meanwhile, people are like, we're not paying for it. YouTube, people are sitting there saying, well, we would really love to have YouTube, but, YouTube Premium, but we can't afford it, so we're just going to use YouTube ad. Let the ad revenue for YouTube, right? YouTube's going to, and then eventually, Google may fail because Google can't get the ad revenue because people aren't going on that. They may just be like, oh, well, we're going to stream our TV shows. We're going to look up a few items. Or they may just change browser and say, well, I'm done with Chrome. We'll go with Firefox. Meanwhile, Microsoft is going to sit there and see their stocks plummeting because no one's buying anything new. They're going to sit there and one day Microsoft, oh, well, we can make money by just bringing out this new Windows 12, which we need everyone to buy, so your computer's not compatible. People will sit there and say, well, I guess we'll just throw away the computers. Eventually, people will realize that the age of the old computers will be for office uses because no one's going to buy it for home anymore. Eventually, you're going to see the entire country going down. What the hell? Hold on a sec. Excuse me, you were interrupting and you were spying on me. I'm live on YouTube. I was explaining that, not to talk to you directly. Stupid machine. So basically what happens is the government turns around and they see people cutting corners every time they turn on computers. They're not going to use much. Because all of a sudden, food stamps, they can't do it, so they got to use their own cash to pay for food. But if government's shut down and no one's buying anything in the hospitality industry, who's going to be supporting restaurants? Who's going to be supporting malls? Who's going to support Amazon? Who's going to support Walmart? People are going to see the entire world buying only what they need. And they're going to see people voting with their wallets, people spending with their wallets, people basically saying, we don't need this. Eventually, you're going to see a new country and a new world where people are not going to invest their money in crap. Literally, think about it. I mean, right now, food stamps go away, which they could permanently. You know, they'll be like, oh, you can use your balance up in the next year. Okay. Well, meanwhile, you know, Brother Ted, he'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to have to live off of my money on SSI and buy groceries that way. You can also go to the food bank. And if the food bank doesn't help you, then, well, you got another thing. The food banks are going to be stressed to the point where they're going to break. And then food banks are slowly going to go away because they can't support the communities because of it. And churches, they're going to stop helping people too. So you're going to see a big wave of people are going to be learning they can't be dependent in the next 10 years, 20 years with churches, with food banks, with food stamps, with government phones, with health insurance. I mean, if they can get to January, they may just basically have crippled the entire country for the next 50 years. And that's saying something due to the fact that, you know, the government is hurting. Oh, here's my other sermon. I was wondering what way. So basically, that's the thing. People turn around and people need to realize that the American people are going to see a big change in the country. This could be the giant reset everyone's been talking about. But most people don't think about it. They think, oh, well, you know, we don't have food, so we're going to go hungry. Most people spent their wads foolishly. And that's the truth. They spent their money foolishly, and now people are hurting. People are hurting severely. Yeah. So, like my brother Ted, he's like, oh, my prepping it paid off. Your prepping didn't pay off because eventually you're going to be hurting. Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, yeah. Oh, yeah. You see this? He basically put in this, and he basically turns around and gives me Intel. He's always trying to choose Intel with me. Stupid Ted. Well, let's just choose the brand. Yeah. I mean... So, everyone's talking about these things, and I was like, cool. So, but anyways, all I'm trying to say to you all, look at that, $145. Yeah. Anyways, shipped by Amazon? Huh. Anyways, a lot of people say, well, yeah, it's shipped and sold by Amazon. Cool. Yeah, there we go. So, it's affordable. And it's saved for later. So, anyways, what was I saying? So I was saying that the American people need to realize that they're going to be hurting. And so you have to be frugal as possible. But most people don't even think about that anymore. They just think, oh, well, you know, we can make it last. Well, okay, I hope you can make it last because, frankly, I don't think you guys can make it last because if you did, we wouldn't be in this problem. And, you know, a lot of people, they relied on it too much. It should have been temporary. Instead, it wasn't. And so now people are hurting. And they're panicking. And they're like, oh, well, you know, I'm disabled for 40 years. How come I don't get it anymore? Because the government basically doesn't want to give it anymore because it should have been for temporary. I mean, literally. I mean, thing is you got to make things last. And that's why a lot of people turn around and they throw fit when they so my brother, he puts in Windows 11 Pro, and then he puts in AMD Intel. So he's like, you want AMD and Intel? Okay, so here we go. Anyways, and so I was looking because this old lady wants a new computer, and I was telling her, you know, right now is not the time to buy a computer, but she keeps pushing. So I figured while I'm talking to you guys, I could look up stuff. I have a few ideas, but it's not what you think it is. I mean, literally, people sit there and they say, well, you know, you can only use one computer at a time. That's true. That is literally true. I personally think I could do a faster job by, they got like 12 entries, and it's like, dude, I clicked on this one. Get rid of this. That'll cut it out. There we go. So anyways, that's the thing. I'm really I really like looking at AMDs, and you know, brother Ted, he's like, oh, you want a Intel? No, I don't. I like AMD. I mean, if it's an AMD, it works a little better, the threading alone. But yeah, brother Ted, he's always talking about AMD. Yes, AMD is, I don't know anything about AMD. AMD is affordable, all right? So when you buy something, you can buy one that's AMD. Yeah. And, yeah, that's why I prefer the, you know, the AMDs myself. But some people, they don't prefer AMD. They prefer something else, so. But anyways. Yeah, the more money you pay, the more you get. That's what they say. And so you could just go and find a deal. But, you know, Chloe's always talking about these things, too. And she's like, well, wouldn't it be good to test them out? Yeah, if you want something like that. But frankly, it just depends on how much, you know, you want to spend. I mean, with me, of course, I'm more interested in, the you know, if I'm buying something, it's got to be a Ryzen 7 at least with 32 gigs of RAM. Yeah, this has got Windows 11 Pro. See, Windows 11 Pro, perfect. Yes. And so basically, you know, you just want to make something that's future proof. That's the other thing. People say, oh, well, what's future proofing? Future proofing is what you buy. If you don't buy something that's future proofing, you're screwed. So a lot of people ask me all the time about future proofing, and that's why I tell them future proofing is the best way to do things because of it. And you look for affordability. You know, it's just, you know, you got LPR, DDR5, 1 terabyte, and 32 gigs of RAM in a tiny package. You're done. Price is good. Most people say, well, you know, I like, you know, like this one's got the Radeon 780M. 780M is pretty damn good for a computer. And you could just smile there. This has got 32 gigs of RAM with Windows 11. So, but anyways, the bottom line is you have to look at what you can afford. That's the other thing. That's why I was looking for this old lady. She wants something basic. So, of course, you look for basic. Unfortunately, that's how you survive. If you don't buy something basic, you're screwed. Like this one here is a Ryzen 5. You get an 8 gig RX 6600 card. Ted would be like, oh, well, that's too old. Maybe. And a 650 watt processor. I mean, that isn't bad if you want to pay $850, but for $850 you get a better system on Amazon, you know, or Best Buy, or even Walmart has better deals. You're saving like $50-100 if you do it differently. But thing is, you know, you just got to look at the deals. Like that 780M or the 780M, that's something you just really would love. And then you look around and it'll tell you exactly what you need. You know, so it'll tell you, you know. And why I do this is so I can actually build my my viewing history. But you gotta look at stuff that's affordable. You can't just sit there and say, okay, I'm gonna buy something for $400 and you got to do your research, and you know, because once you buy it, you're stuck with it. So that's why you look at reviews, and you look at other things, and you say, okay, I want to buy this, or okay, I don't want to buy that, and eventually it will work. But you have to look at affordability. You can't just sit there and dump out a whole bunch of money and then basically be like, well, I bought this, but I didn't expect it to be this crappy, you know. And that's the thing. You have to basically look around, and like that's why when I chose like affordability, you just turn around, you know, and you look, and then you look at reviews, and it'll tell you stuff like, you know, like like the graphics things and stuff. You're just gonna look, and it'll tell you, you know, what are you using, what are you not using, and it'll tell you. If it doesn't tell you, you just say okay. But mostly, it's pretty good. Like this is the 680M, so the 680 is not bad. So the 680M is a good system, but you want better, and you do better if you can. Yeah. So that's the 680M again. So thing is eventually you can find affordability, you know, and like this is a 780M, but you know, it looks pretty good if you want a Ryzen 7. So, but my point is it also depends on what you want. And so that's why you buy what you buy, you know, and Americans have to live within their budget. They can't just sit there and say, okay, I want this because it's $5,000. It doesn't work. So a lot of people are now going to learn the art of saving money, you know, and the art of saving money, you know, because Americans out there are worried, and they turn around and they're like, well, we want what we want, but you know, for 40 plus years that I've been alive, my mother taught me values about cash on the barrel, and on financing and expenses, you know, like in the 1980s, right? People sat there thinking money grew on trees. Limousine services, you know, businesses, and, you know, do you even see limousines around anymore? You know, Zoe and I were talking this a while ago, a couple years ago, like 18, 24 months. She's like, you don't see limos anymore yet. You can rent them, but those businesses are down the drain. Most people are, you know, no one wants limos, and they're gas guzzlers. And if you do get a hold of one, it may be some guy who thinks he can just drive around in one and say, look, I'm driving a limo. But, you know, the point is, nowadays, things change. Everything changes. So, you know, when it comes to money, people sit there and, you know, back in the day, you know, people would sit there and be like, for example, you know, back in the day, my mom used to work at a place called Coco's. They're out of business. Coco's restaurant. You know, they were back in the 80s. Coco's. It was Coco's and Caro's or whatever. And then when they went out of business, my mom found a job within a week at Denny's. And then, you know, worked for like 30 years at a Denny's. But the thing is, my mom was a hard worker. So, you know, back in the day, people would literally, I think it was Coco's and Caro's. Let me look it up. Caro's and Linwood, I think it was. I think it was on 196th Street. Hold on. $19.80s. Carol's Kitchen, popular lunch spot in Yellow Spring, Ohio. Linwood, Washington, 1980. See, I remember. Okay, so Caros, Carros, right? Caro's restaurant right there was a subsidiary of Sherry's, which my mom worked at Sherry's too. And Caro's has shutters its restaurant in Cerritos due to its company's retirement. So Sherry's Cafe took over Caro's and Coco's. Coco's was bought by a Japanese company. In California, Caro's Coco's was completely directed with Marie Callender's. Yeah, so there you go. So my mother used to work at Caro's, as which was a subsidiary of Sherry's, which was a subsidiary of Coco's, and then yeah, Coco's restaurant in Linwood. Yeah. And then it went out of business in like 1987 or something. I mean, really, yeah. Yeah. And then there was, yeah, so Sherry's took over, but Coco's was back then. So, my mother raised me to have values. And so, back in the 1980s, you'd go down the street, ended up at the local arcade, and arcades weren't bad. But nowadays, there is no arcades. Arcades went away the dodo bird for consoles at home. So, back in the day, video games were arcades. Now you look at how the entire country is changing, because back in the day, not many people had computers. They had phones, they'd answer phones, and they had manila envelopes, and everyone had files. But then the file system got too big, so they went with digital. Eventually, it went floppies, and then and so point is we're changing, we're evolutionizing, but we may be going backwards because back in the day, food stamps, people relied on them. And back then people would sell their food stamps because it's paper. So they cut out the sales of food stamps, apparently, and went to debit. Now people are like, oh, you want to buy my food stamps, you got to buy the card. Well, that is wrong. I do not support people selling food stamps. So with 42 million people off of the government dole right now, it's a better suited thing. But a lot of people are like, well, how do we eat? Simple. You have to prep properly. That's the thing. Did you prep properly, or did you sit on your butt and be like, I need food? I mean, literally. I mean, think about it. I mean, when it comes to food, you have to prep properly. I mean, literally. It's like me and Chloe talking about food. Me and Chloe were talking about food, right? And we were talking about dinner tonight since she's visiting, right? And she asked me. And I said, well, it's simple. And she said, yeah. I said, you can get a deal on, Mariuccia and Piquant ramen. That's like $12 a case. So it's like 50 cents a pack. Or you can go and spend $9 for my favorite one. Or you can turn around and look at the two ramens right here that dropped in price again because no one's buying it because, ramen's going up, ramen's going down. But, those cup of noodles, people aren't buying them right now because they think that you're not getting enough food. So with me, of course, when at that price, I'll just buy 5 more of each, stack them away. By the time I get around to eating them all, I may have till April of 2026. You see, point is, I'm not going hungry. Even if I have to live on ramen, at least I'm not going to starve. These people, they don't think about 12, 1 a day or 2 a day, 6 meals, 6 days. Yeah. They just think about, well, I make my food stretch. Fortunately, a lot of people out there aren't thinking about the future. They're thinking about, going in and praying that God turns on the faucet for food stamps. So God could be sitting there saying, look, I made a country, America, to be self-sufficient and proud. What are you guys doing? You're all sitting around being freeloaders. I mean, could be. No one knows. But the point is if we keep going down this path, we may be seeing the Great Reset or a depression. And this is why you need to basically think about it. If you, if you sit there and you pay your bills on credit, and eventually you're going to see 2 million people bankrupted, possibly, because the government can't sustain itself, because they're not opening, because you got government saying, well, let's just cut 750,000 people off of it and then cut out another thing. I mean, think about it. The government could turn around and say, well, we got rid of food stamps. What do we need to cut? Oh, we can cut HUD now. HUD cut was 86%. We'll just move it up to 97% and leave a skeleton crew to try to fend. Meanwhile, when HUD's not getting any money from the suburbs, they could sit there and say, well, we're kicking everyone out. Oh, look, we got homeless people. Now they want to revolt. Meanwhile, the USDA has the same problem. I won't revolt. My point is there's always a way around revolting. The thing is, they're trying to do something, and I don't know what it is, but it could destroy this country if we keep going down the wrong path. That's all I'm saying. I mean, think about it. The government, we don't know what's happening, and with your food stamps the way it is, you need to cut corners. I mean, literally, do you really want to sit around and spend money you don't have? I mean, I'm thinking about right now, what I'm thinking about right now, peeps, is watching a movie and going to bed, because I have to be up early for Chloe. But I could check in tomorrow before Chloe gets here and do another video. Fortunately, my opinion is we have to work together. You guys don't want to work together. All you want to do is, oh, my food stamps, I'm going hungry. Let me put it this way. There's a lady upstairs realizing Meals on Wheels. They cut her Meals on Wheels. She called up and the state said, well, we're not delivering because there's no food stamps. She's like, oh, my God, I'm going hungry, right? She calls the church. They're like, we don't have any money for you. She's Jehovah's Witness. No money, no food stamps, nothing. Most people, and if food stamps keep going down the toilet and no one's getting food stamps, grocery stores can turn around and fire their early hires. I know a girl that calls me auntie. She may be out of a job soon if they don't, and then she'll see most people not moving, or not most people not moving, but most people, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it isn't pretty, and the government could basically lean towards shutting down permanently. I mean, literally. I mean, unless the government has a new plan that we don't know about. We have a unpredictable president, that's what they say, who 1 minute's thinking about beanie weenies, the next minute he wants to nuke Venezuela, the third day he wants to nuke Iran, and then he gets an idea that he wants corn dogs for lunch. I mean, I'm just coming up with the things I've heard. I mean, I don't know, literally. Sorry, I'm checking out a movie real quick. Here we go. Oh, I want to read this. All right. Okay. So this seems pretty interesting. So it's on Tubi, so free movie, and so people are saying it's a representation of the United States right now under our current president. So I thought, okay, I may put this in to watch. So, but thing is, you got to realize, we're in a crisis, and what we need to do is we need to pull back and not argue or complain about no food stamps. You don't see me complaining. No. The only thing I'm complaining about is I got to get in touch with Chloe and tell her bring me some coffee in the morning. Otherwise, coffee and milk. Otherwise, pork chops are for supper, and we will survive as me and Chloe are a team. Yes. So in the meantime, I just wanted to say I love all of you. It is late, and may you all be blessed. And I hope in the future we can look back and say with certainty that I was wrong. But right now, as long as the government's shut down and the food stamps aren't coming in and the courts are saying he has to activate it, courts don't have to. It's unconstitutional. I looked it up myself. They don't have to give $5.8 billion in reserves. That's for emergencies like hurricanes and earthquakes to dole out cash. Because once that money's gone, it's gone permanently. And that means only partial payments. And frankly, partial payments. Do you understand that word? That means people get partial payments. So the states, they're not going to be coughing up money. They're going to sit there and say, well, it's partial payments. Now, people sit there and say, well, what happens with people that get like $24 a month? They're not going to get anything. I mean, for example, Amazon, you can check your balance at any time on Amazon, right? So all you do is you put in your thing, and my balance goes in on the first of the month, right? So it's already third. You think it's going to say anything? No, it's going to say zero. Zero balance. Because the government can't give any money. Yeah, but Chloe, she's got money because, well, hers is frozen, but you get the idea. So, point is the American people need to realize that we're at a stalemate. So, as long as the Republicans and Democrats are fighting over health care, the Democrats has a new win. They can turn around and say, well, we're fighting for food stamps. But what happens when the enrollment period ends? There's no food, and then they're fighting for what? Food stamps? That's a lost cause. I would think that after open enrollment ends, they would open the government up. And if that ain't about that, and they're using the food stamps as a diversion, then it has to be the Epstein files. So you got to keep asking. Now, if that ain't it, it could be they're trying to collapse the entire government, and but people can start pulling back, without money. They can turn around and say, well, we're not paying for it. Also, what happens if Trump's tariffs go down the way of the dodo bird because he can't sell anything because no one's buying? I mean, think about it. So tonight, I give you a homework assignment. I want you to leave comments below. Tell me what your plans are. I want to hear from you. Are you guys thinking that, oh yeah, and while I'm at it, let's check something out real quick. On my channel, I'm going to check on the poll real quick. Because I want to see, has anyone actually did a poll? And remember to subscribe, because I did post a poll. Here we go. Nope, nothing. Alright, so 5 hours. Alright, so my point is, my friends, is do you think the government is going to be open by Christmas? I don't. But the question is, how much more are you going to take? That's the question you got to ask yourself. So our homework tonight is leave comments. Tell me what you think's going to happen. I personally think that, food stamps, that's minor. The health insurance, my family said that's big. Fortunately, the health insurance, food stamps, and the Republicans are still not budging in 2026, and it's still going down. Then it's either Epstein or they're trying to kill the government, so it says it's not working. However, my only other theory is if the government ain't working, then it has to be the government is shut down, and they're shutting it down because of that. Or you're going to see Americans not buy anything, and the economy is going to tank anyways because no one's buying anything. That's the other theory. So, in my opinion, let's see how it goes. But, in my opinion, I would say stop buying anything you don't need and show the companies that if food stamps are cut and stores are hurting, people are not going to buy anything they don't need. They're going to basically hold back. And that is where we need to go with it right now. Because with money is power. And if you basically withhold your power, you're crippling the entire country yourself. But at the same time, you're making a point, we're not paying for this. So think about it. In the meantime, please add and subscribe. Please post comments. Please leave feedback, suggestions, hit the like, subscribe button. So some fun for your family, including your dogs or cats or bunnies, or service dogs or service bunnies. Hit the bell notification, thumbs up button, subscribe button, keep the comments.